to another episode from Titan Vans. I'm Matt North, CEO and founder. Today we're going to be showcasing a brand new classic design. Our classic build is one of the options we offer here at Titan Vans. It's a spec build, which means we have a base package that's the same every single time, and then customizable features that you can add on, which include the Galley package, wheels, tires, racks, air conditioning units, cabinetry on the inside, and a whole lot more. So this rig, we'll start by talking about some of the base features that are on this, and then we'll talk about some of the upgrade features and check out the inside. Right off the bat, this chassis is a Sprinter 144. It is the 4x4 model and has the diesel V6 3-liter engine under the hood. The base package includes the slider door window. This is a C.R. Lawrence operable window. It has T-vents on it, so it can be used when it is raining, and has built-in screens on the inside to keep the bugs out. We have the slider door window. Also on the other side is a driver's side forward window, also T-vent style, so we got lots of ventilation up front. Above the bed in the back, which we'll showcase when we get inside the rig, we have these C.R. Lawrence AW1033 windows. Those allow for some nice light and ventilation up by the bed. They also have the built-in screens and our awning style again. Up top, we have a 300-watt solar panel. It's a monocrystalline solar panel. Plenty of power for helping to recharge those batteries, and it's one of 3 ways that we recharge our auxiliary batteries. Also, standard on top is a Max Air Deluxe fan. So it has the rain hood on it and is very easy to replace and swap out if any damage happens. So it's a really nice unit for both a functionality and serviceability standpoint. Lastly, on the driver's side of the van, we have an Aluminess side mount ladder that allows you to access the roof to clean off the panels, shovel the snow off, check things out, and for overall serviceability. On this particular rig, this client opted for some upgrade packages. So we installed some step rails on the exterior. These are just fixed step rails. They are not electrically deployed, though we can install those as well. And these guys do help a lot with a 4x4 rig because that deck height is so tall. It's about 2 inches of additional from a 2-wheel drive Sprinter. These make it a little bit easier to get in and out of the van, so they are a nice addition, though they do lower your ground clearance a little bit. The other upgrade package that we added on here on the exterior is the wheels and tires. We upgraded the wheel size to a 17-inch rim, and we tried to keep the tire size as close to stock as possible, though you can go up one size if you choose. These are the BFG TKO2 tires, and this is a 245/75 R17-inch size. That pretty much wraps it up for the outside of the van. So let's jump onto the inside and check this rig out. So standard in our classic design, we have our bi-slide bed. This is designed and manufactured in-house here at Titan Vans. This is a telescoping bed platform. It is a little over a queen-size bed, so it's about 74 inches long and about 72 inches wide, but you do have some additional headroom towards the back door. So as far as sleeping space goes, you're closer to 78 inches of total length. This is designed to sleep lengthwise in the vehicle, though for other people who are a little bit shorter, you could potentially sleep side to side as well. As we get up into this rig, you'll notice we actually utilize some of the natural bump out space to gain some additional perpendicular length in this van, though we can and have installed flare spaces as well. Also stock in our classic design, our flooring system here. So we have our L-track mounted in the floor, both here in the front and in the rear for cargo control. These front tracks are designed to integrate with our 2-person bench seat, so we offer additional seating in the rear. It is fully removable. This client opted to not get the additional seating, so he really only plans on traveling with 2 people. Though at any point in time, they could come back and we could slap that seat in. It takes just a minute to install and is a really nice addition for those of you that need to carry some additional passengers. These other options that you see here are all additional upgrade packages. So we have our marine table. This is a 3-part system. So we have the tabletop, the central leg, and the base in the floor. These all come out and breaks down and can store right against the side of the galley here. And then just a simple cap goes in to cover that up. This receptacle in the floor is fixed, but the other parts are removable so you can get that space back. The galley is also an upgrade package for us. This is a fully removable unit. We utilize quick disconnect fittings on the wall panel system. Our stock Classic comes pre-installed with those connection points. So whether you get the galley or not, the connections for both the hot and cold, gray water, 120 volt and 12 volt DC are all pre-installed, so you can add the galley at any point in time, or if you opt out of the galley, they're still there. And so if you do decide to sell the rig or whatever, it really adds to that resale value because other people can then customize it to their own needs. The galley here comes standard with a isotherm Cruise 130 fridge. We have a large stainless steel sink and faucet, 120 volt induction cooktop, and then some storage. So we have the 2 doors and some drawers up top, down below, excuse me. Also, you can see from here, we have our overhead galley cabinet. This is a 2-door cabinet, also fully removable, and is another upgrade package that we can add on at any point in time. We have a headliner shelf installed over the driver and passenger seat, and in the rear we have a cubby cab that's installed. All of these are removable if needed. The headliner shelf is a little bit more fixed install, but once it's in there, you're gonna love it. You'll never wanna take that thing out. The last upgrade package that we included on this rig is a hot water heater, and that's in the rear, so we'll get to that in the back. But let's jump up and give you guys a more detailed look at some of these individual packages. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is this tabletop. Really nice addition. This is one of the popular upgrade options that we add to these sprinters. The way we install this guy gives you lots of functionality out of this. So not only do you have an eating or workspace that can be quickly set up or taken down if you need some more room in the living space, but also we offset the leg down here at the base. That allows you to gain this walkway back really quickly. So instead of centering it in the walkway, we like to push it off towards the passenger side. So now we have this walkway here that we can move back and forth through. And we also offset the mount on the tabletop as well is offset, so we can get some different functionality out of this tabletop. So we can pivot this guy. I can bring it a little closer here. If we swivel our seat around, we can move ourselves in and out to make this more functional either for the passenger or driver. And we designed this thing so it clears, and we can also swing it all the way over here to the driver's side, again, giving you a little bit more room over here on the passenger side. So really nice, simple, just that little bit of an offset makes this thing much more functionally diverse than just doing a center mount and center post and just having this thing swivel 360 degrees. So really nice upgrade, very, very popular. Let's tear this thing down really quick, show you how this stows, and then we'll jump into some of these other features. So the tabletop's really easy to set up and take down. Just grab the top here, kind of wiggle it loose. You can see the receptacle there on the bottom. And we also install a leg holder. So this guy just wiggles right out. You can slide this in to the holder. And then this whole assembly here will stow right up against the side of the galley. So over here we have a bracket. And simply tighten this down, and you're off and running. The galley is one of our upgrade options as well. So this does not come standard in a classic design, but is an easy upgrade option for us and is a great addition if you're planning on doing some cooking or some longer trips. Standard with our galley is the Cruise 130 fridge. This is the door model. Has a nice freezer up top, though it is a little small. And multiple shelving units here, and they do have some nice little flip over shelving things here that allow for some taller bottles or jugs to be stored, which is really nice. And another cool little feature is on these shelves here, these little nooks, they have these slider tabs that allow you to kind of really dial it in for, you know, beer cans or whatever to keep those things from sliding around, so you can adjust those to make sure that's holding those items nice and secure when going down the road. The Cruise 130 is a DC model, so it pulls directly off the battery. You don't need an inverter, there's no propane. It is 12 volt powered. They're extremely efficient. They pull very little power when they're running. They're very quiet and they last a long time. So they're a really great unit. The technology for these fridges has come a long way, and it's really nice to see an extremely efficient 12 volt DC model that just works really well. And these were really designed for the marine industry, but you will see them in a lot of vans, and they're our go-to option for our van builds. On the front here, we have our access doors. This is how you can gain access to some of the fittings inside. We have our gray water quick disconnect, our hot and cold water quick disconnect, a 120 volt plug, which is for the induction cooktop, and we also have an outlet here on the side of the galley. And then we have a 12 volt DC plug, quick disconnect, that allows power for the fridge, and we also have a USB port next to that outlet on the side. So you can charge phones and keep things plugged in, especially if you add the seat back here. It's a nice little connection point for those passengers to keep things charged up for the road. Down below, we have our drawers. These are bamboo, dovetailed, and we use some Blum undermount soft close drawers. And these here are some marine rim latches. And so when you press the knob in, this little tab comes up and keeps it secured into the cabinetry. So nothing's coming flying open, and everything stays nice and quiet and nice and soft for all those features. Same for the lower one here, just a slightly larger drawer box, but all the same features. Let's show you what we got going up on top with our sink and cooktop, and then we'll move on to some of the other great options that we have for the Classic. So on the top, standard with our Classic Galley, we have our 120 volt induction cooktop. So this does require the inverter to be turned on. It does not run directly off the battery, though the power from the inverter does come from the battery. The induction cooktop uses magnets to heat the pan. So these are really nice and safe and efficient ways to produce heat and to cook. If there's no pan on here, this surface will not get hot. So if we tried turning it on and there was no magnetic pan, so either cast iron or steel or an induction specific cooking pan, this would just start beeping at us. It gets a little angry and it'll shut itself off. So it's really hard to turn this on and produce heat when you don't want to. And what's really nice is it cools down very, very quickly. So within 30 seconds or so, this surface will cool down even after you've been cooking on it, and you can get your countertop space back for prep work or whatever else you got going on. The sink, we have our recessed undermount stainless steel sink. Really nice and deep. It's about 9 inches deep. We like to have kind of a more standard size, like a household size sink, as preferred to some of the more kind of flip up glass top ones. It makes it a lot easier for doing prep work, for cooking, doing dishes, all that stuff. A nice deep sink is the way you want to go. We do have a inset, which can be used as a cutting board, but primarily serves to gain that countertop space back by making this surface nice and flush. The faucet here is plumbed both to the hot and cold water. Now you'll only have the hot water if you add the hot water heater package, but you'll always have cold water coming to this even if you don't do the hot water package and you decide to add the galley. So this is a nice little unit, little pull down, has both sprayer and regular stream options, and simple single lever design for both the hot and cold water. Really nice unit. These are high grade. This is a nickel finish that we do on this, and really solid and long lasting appliances throughout. Last thing I want to mention here is on the side, you can see these 120 volt outlets and the USB ports over here. Also, I should mention, to remove the galley, we simply use these brackets and the star knobs, which secure the galley directly to our L track that's wall mounted. So that's you have one on each side, both the front and the rear. Simply loosen those star knobs and the whole unit pulls right out, although you do have to disconnect all of the plumbing and electrical fittings, but they're all quick disconnect, so they come off pretty quickly. Should also mention the new countertop. So this is new to 2020. This is a acrylic countertop. So this is made by Avenite. This is the Eclipse countertop material. It comes in lots of different looks, but we like that black kind of sleek, more modern look for our builds. So this is our standard countertop that we offer with the Classic. You can see it's very thin, but it is a solid surface. So what's really cool about this is that if you do nick it, scratch it, or it gets damaged for whatever reason, it can be sanded and refinished. And throughout the entire thickness of this material, there is no surface laminate, so you can't really gouge it past the material. You can always sand it down and get it back looking as fresh as possible. The overhead galley cab is another upgrade option. This is a really nice unit, very popular, especially when combined with the galley package. These use the same rim latches and some gas struts for the lifts. This is a fully removable unit, so it utilizes some star knobs both into the ceiling and into the back to allow this to be quickly removed or added at any point in the future. So nice little unit, gives you lots of storage space. A nice cool feature that we have in the Classic, so the lighting, you can see this track back here that we installed. This is standard in our Classic design. But what's cool is that we integrate this through the cabinet. So when we turn our lighting on here, it actually illuminates inside the cabinetry as well. So when that light's on, you open these doors, it makes it a lot easier to see what you got going in there, especially for nighttime use. So nice little touch, and adds a lot to the inside of that cabinet with just that simple little feature. Standard on our Classic build, we talked about it at the beginning of the video, is the windows. But I want to give you guys kind of a detailed look at how these guys work. The operation is almost identical for all these awning style windows, so we'll just showcase it here on this driver side forward. So this is the CRL FW621L. It utilizes these knobs here to crank the windows in and out. So simply turn counterclockwise to open that awning open. It has these nice built-in bug nets that can be popped loose. So this is just a little screen that can pop in and out. So for cleaning or repairing, it's really easy to get that out. And the 621L has 2 awning windows. So both the forward and the rear, so you can get lots of good ventilation. We like to have this here, especially near the cooktop, so that when we are running or boiling water or running the cooktop, we can open up these windows, get the fan going, and we get a nice cross breeze that helps to ventilate all the kind of the smells and steam or whatever you got going when you're cooking. Gives you that good ventilation to get all that stuff exhausted out. So this comes standard in our Classic package, as well as the slider door window and the 2 windows up over the bed, which all have very, very similar functionality. The headliner shelf. Another really popular package for people to add on. You can see the way that we've designed this guy, it actually allows for use of the visor shelves here on the Sprinter design. We keep that shelf up high enough that you get full access to those guys, so want to maintain that storage as much as possible. It utilizes factory mounting points, so we have 4 brackets, 2 in the rear and 2 in the front. Simply remove the bolts to install and slide these brackets down and then put the bolts back in. And then we have a couple of screws that go up into this headliner shelf to keep it secured to these brackets. This is wrapped in our charcoal upholstery, but we do sell this guy as a DIY kit. So it includes the lip here, the wood lip, the headliner shelf itself, and all the brackets and hardware needed to install. So a great DIY product. You can wrap it, paint it, stain it, whatever to your preference, but check it out on TitanDIYKits.com if you're interested in one of these bad boys. The bi-slide bed is our go-to option for our Classic design. It's a telescoping bed platform, which means that it actually slides in and out to either compress back when not in use or extend for the full bed setup, which it's in right now. We have a 2-part mattress, so they're identical, but a section up towards the rear here, and then this section here, which allows for that telescoping action to happen and to maintain, be able to move those cushions in and out more easily. New for 2020, we've switched to a new fabric. Super nice, a little more green product here, and also has a really nice soft feel to it. So it was a nice little upgrade that we switched out to there. Still maintaining the versatility of the mattress. So we use now just a 2-part foam. We have a pillow topper and a more firm foam on the bottom. So this is a fully reversible mattress. So if we flip this guy over, you can kind of tailor the firmness of the mattress to your liking. To convert back and forth between the 2 bed modes, you can leave it extended while traveling. There are some latches down here that will secure it so that it is safe to travel with. But if we're gonna go ahead and compress this guy back, you can take this single piece mattress, slide it back. You can now see we have our bed kick plate and the telescoping portions here. This is the bed kick plates. We have 4 different colors that you can choose from. It's one of the accent colors that we kind of highlight in the van. So we have red, this is our blue. We also have gray and black. So these can be switched out, and you have one on the foot of the bed and one on the head of the bed, which helps to hold those cushions in and also gives you some nice handles both for sliding the bed in and out and if you go to fully remove the bed. So the latches are already unhooked, so we're not catching our bed rails there. So we can simply grab the handles and slide this guy back. So you can see once that bed is pushed back, we gain a lot of space back really quickly. So when you're talking about 75 square feet, this is about 10 square feet we just gained back. It's pretty massive in terms of percentage-wise what you gain just from compressing that bed back. So it really opens up the space, gives you lots of ability to have some more living area, get geared up, whether you're skiing, surfing, biking. Nice to have a little bit more elbow room, especially if you're gonna have multiple people in the van. Now, if you do need even more cargo capacity, the bed is fully removable. We simply loosen, we have 2 additional catches on the rear of the bi-slide. 2 in the front and 2 in the rear. So once all 4 have been released, this whole bed assembly can be lifted and removed from the van. And now you have a complete cargo van back where you can be moving, you know, if you need to move a fridge one day, or you got motorcycles that are coming in, or even if you just need it out of the way just so you can have a little bit more flow through the van. Really nice to have that versatility and functionality. And that's why it's really our go-to bed with this classic design. Let's jump down to this cabinetry, give you guys a detailed look on what we got going inside and show you our electrical and plumbing. So starting on the passenger side, this is our electrical cabinet, though it does have some storage as well. It's a nice little pantry cab up front here. We have some nice little bamboo shelving to kind of go with that Galley bamboo drawers. And these have some adjustable pins in them, so you can adjust the height of these shelves or fully remove them if you need that full height. This uses some slam latches, so simply close kind of a firm shut on that, and these securely lock to keep all these doors secure while in motion. Here we have some additional storage as well as our inverter. So this is our Xantrex XC2000. It is a pure sine inverter. It has a total capacity of about 2,000 watts, so it is plenty to power a small air conditioner unit, induction cooktop, and hot water heater, though those all do have to be run independently. They cannot be run simultaneously. So nice, compact little unit, really, really nice, and they do a great job. Highly recommend these if you're looking for a good pure sine wave inverter. Another nice feature about this guy is it is also a charger. So we integrate this with our shore power plug. Once we plug the shore power in using a standard extension cord, so no fancy adapters needed. We do recommend just a heavy duty cord, but as soon as you plug that in, this unit will recognize the shore power signal and begin both charging your battery, so it has a built-in 80 amp charger, so it will charge your batteries up pretty quickly, but it also has a built-in transfer switch, which means that shore power signal gets transferred through the inverter and right up to our control panel, which allows you to run the induction cooktop, hot water heater, or air conditioning unit directly off that extension cord. So you're no longer pulling power out of your battery, and the inverter is not actually inverting anymore. That's why it's known as that bypass mode. So again, super clean, nice little unit. For the price, it's hard to beat the functionality you get with the XC2000. Jumping over to the driver's side. So this is our water or plumbing side of our rig here. We have, again, some nice storage in the front of the cabinet here, accessible, especially when that bed is pushed back, gives you some really nice storage to have all your food or kind of gear or whatever you need quick access to. Down below here is actually our 20-gallon over-the-wheel well tank. So this is another product that we sell on TitanDIYKits.com. We offer it as just a tank or as a plumbing system, which includes the water fill and the drain valve. This tank is really nice. It's around 20 gallons. It's designed to fit over a Sprinter, Transit, or ProMaster wheel well, so it really is a very versatile tank. And you can see how tight and slim we can keep this cabinetry by utilizing up all that excess space around the wheel well. Slides right in. We have a nice little viewport back here, and we do put a little tank backlight on the back of the water tank to allow you to view that water level a little more easily. And then these cutouts here are actually for some what we call our kerf mounts. So we designed a handful of different hooks and mounts that can slide right into these pins. So for a ski holder or surfboard holder, when you clip that in, they come in and out in seconds and give you the ability to rack either a couple snowboards or a couple of skis up against the cabinets. And we have them on both the driver's side and on the passenger side. Here in our middle door here is our hot water heater. This is a 4-gallon electric hot water heater. The model is an IsoTemp Slim 4. It utilizes a 750 watt heating element. So this does require the inverter to run off of. It's 120 volt power. Again, the inverter is a 2000 watt, so it can easily handle this 750 watt heating element. The cold water comes in. We have a 4-gallon capacity, so total for this system, once the hot water heater is added, is right around 25 gallons. And once you turn the inverter on and send power down to the hot water heater, it takes about 45 minutes to an hour to heat up. Nice little pro tip that I like to mention to people is that if you actually kick this on while you're driving, we hook the battery, or our auxiliary battery system is hooked up to the alternator, which allows us to charge whenever the engine is running. But if you turn this unit on while the engine is running, it'll allow you to essentially heat the water with that free energy coming right off your engine. So when you're about an hour out from wherever you're heading, your campsite or trailhead, a nice idea to get this thing rolling. Make sure there's water in there. Kick on your inverter, heat that water up, and once you get to your destination, you're gonna have nice 4 gallons of hot water ready to go. And these are really well insulated as well. So that water, obviously it depends on ambient temperature, but will stay nice and hot for 8 to 10 hours, no problem. So nice, sleek little unit, compact, and does exactly what you need. And we highly recommend the IsoTemp Slim 4. I wanna mention a couple other things that come standard on our classic package before we roll around to the back to round out these wheel well cabs. In the rear here, you can see some reading lights. These have some flexible heads on them. I'll slide out of your guys' way. So you can move these guys where you need, and they have just a simple button. So they have 2 settings, low, high, and they also have built-in USB ports. So you have some charging ports right there at the bed and some nice little lights for reading or just for hanging out. If your partner or significant other is falling asleep, you don't have to blind them with these overhead lights to keep things going. Up here, we have our USB ports, so additional charging ports here that are up in this gang box. We also have a 120 volt outlet, so for charging computers or other appliances that don't use USBs, you have that port there. And we also have 2 switches, one for the overhead lights and one for the cove lights. So these switches are actually in 3 locations in our Classic. Here at the bed, right there at the slider door as soon as you enter, and then also up in the dash that's accessible for both the passenger and driver. So that way, if you forget to turn a light off, or you're about to swing around to the rear, you can kick that light on and get things lit up before you head back into the living space back here. All of the lights function the same. Single click to turn off and on, and then press and hold to dim. So these are just simple momentary switches, and then we use a dimmer module that the switches communicate with to do all of the dimming. So nice little setup, and they work great. Last thing I want to note here is our control panel. So this is where you're going to be interfacing with the Classic. This is really kind of the brains of the system. We have our inverter control here. So this is kind of a glorified off-on switch, but does give you some nice information when you do kick that guy on. Down below is our breaker switches. So this allows us to send power from the inverter to our specified appliances. So in this rig, we just have 3 switches. We have one for our induction cooktop, one for the hot water heater, and then one for the other outlets, which are the outlet here in the rear. And then we also have an exterior waterproof outlet just behind the slider door on the outside of the van. And so when you flip that switch, it sends powers to those. So if you're making some margs outside, you need that exterior blender, we got you covered. Moving on the control panel, we have our Webasto control. The Webasto stock for this size van, we usually use a 2000 STC model. That is their smallest model. Has about 2,000 BTU of power for heating power. This client opted to upgrade the Webasto to the Evo 40, which has double the heating power, so about 4,000 BTUs of power. Really nice for wintertime use, especially here in Colorado. Really will keep this thing nice and toasty, even in those low single-digit temps. Also, a nice functionality of the Evo 40 is that it has built-in altitude adjustment. So it actually has a barometric sensor, which senses altitude and will automatically adjust the fan speed and the fuel pump frequency to make sure that you're burning as efficiently as possible. The 2000 STC can be adjusted for altitude, but you have to set it at only a single altitude. Still works great, but it's not burning as efficiently depending on if you're up at 8,000 feet or if you're down at sea level. It doesn't have the ability to automatically adjust. Here we have 2 switches. One is for our hot water, for our water pump. So turn it off and on and you will start priming the water system. So it'll pull water from our 20-gallon system and start pushing that water through the hot water heater and up to the faucet and rear utility spray down. We also now have a switch on the back of the driver side wheel well cabinet where our plumbing is, so you can turn that water pump on from 2 locations now, so that way you don't have to run around the van if you're going to be using either the faucet or the spray down shower. The second switch here is also new for 2020. These are heater pads that we install on both the freshwater tank and the gray water tank if you choose to install it. So the freshwater tank is standard in our Classic design. The gray water tank is an upgrade option. And we recommend it if you choose the Galley. We highly recommend getting the gray water package as well, though some clients opt not to. The heater pads work really well. So simply hit the button to turn them on. They have built-in temperature sensors, so they will not turn on unless the temperature gets down to 40 degrees. So often it's going to be colder outside than it is inside. And so if you do opt for that gray water tank, the outside one will usually start heating before the interior one does. But if it does get cold on the inside as well, you'll have both of those heater pads running, helping to keep that system from freezing. Though if the temperature gets too cold, it will inevitably freeze. And at that point, the heating pads can really help to de-thaw the system if needed. The last unit here is just a battery monitor. So this small little display gives you lots of great information about the health and status of your system. It tells you the voltage of your battery, tells you the temperatures of your battery, and tells you the current or the amount of electrons flowing in or out of your battery. So right now we're at 14.2, so we are currently charging. We're at 63 degrees Fahrenheit, and we have about 1 amp flowing into our system. Now, keep in mind we have lights going and we're still positive. That's because we're in bright and sunny Colorado, and we got a little bit of sun going from that solar panel. So we're putting a little bit of juice back into those batteries and offsetting our light use currently. So if we were to turn some of these lights off, we would see that current number go up as we start to push more current down into the batteries. So really nice, gives you that on-demand information. It's very accurate, and if you like geeking out like I do on all the trends and stuff, you can Bluetooth into this unit and get a whole bunch of details about history and trends, and check out all sorts of graphs for the inner geek in you. So the last remote here is for our fan. So this is the Deluxe Max Air fan. Has a nice little remote that you can use, but it also has controls directly on the unit. Simply hit the power button. The lid lifts up automatically and the fan starts up. It is reversible, so we can either pull fresh air in or pull air out. Has multiple speed controls. It also has a thermostat. This thing's loaded. Got all sorts of cool functionality out of it, and is a really nice unit. Highly recommend these fans. The last thing I want to say about these is they're really nice. If something does happen, you hit a branch, something malfunctions, whatever, hail damage, they're really easy to replace because the flange installs independently of the actual fan unit itself. So you glue the flange in and then you drop the fan in and screw it in. So if you do need to replace the fan, 4 screws, the whole unit pops out, and you don't have to cut or scrape any seals off. You can maintain that seal and get a fresh unit in there if you ever needed to. So from a serviceability standpoint, it really is the best thing on the market, and definitely recommend that Max Air 7500K. So that pretty much rounds it out for the inside. Let's jump around to the back and we'll showcase some of the stuff that's a little more viewable from the rear, and let's check it out. All right, so we'll start off on the driver's side, our plumbing cabinet here. Inside this rear cavity, we have our water pump. This is a 2.9 gallon per minute pump, and we have all of our control valves as well. So those are the valves that either turn the water off or on to our individual appliances, so our faucet, our spray shower, or our hot water heater. Here we have our water fill. This uses a standard garden hose fitting, so no fancy adapters needed. Simply put a garden hose attachment to your water source, turn the water on, and this will fill up your tank. We have our sight slot here, so you can see where your water level is at. Once the water has fully filled the water tank, we have an overflow tube that drains to the bottom of the van. So, if you forget that the water was running and you come back out, you'll just have some water coming out the bottom of the van, but it's designed that way so you won't have any water inside the van, making a mess. Here we have our 2 switches. So we have our water pump switch, which you might be able to hear there running. And then we also have our tank backlight. So this light here illuminates that light that's behind the tank, makes it a little bit easier to see that water level. Here we have our utility spray down. So this pulls out. We have a nice long, 6-foot long hose here. Nice stainless steel head. This thing is hefty, weighs just a couple pounds actually. It's a pretty burly little unit and has some nice functionality. So once you turn the water pump on, you'll go ahead and turn your spray control here. So this is our temperature control as well as the flow rate. So we'll go max hot and we're gonna go max pressure, but no water will come out still. Then you have to hit the sprayer here. So once you hit that button, then you see a little bit of water that's still left in the head there. The water pump's not on, so you're not seeing any kind of pressure or it's spraying. It is still winter here in Colorado, or we're kind of heading into spring, but we've winterized this system, so that's why we don't have any water going on right now. Once you hit that sprayer though, you'll get that nice pressure coming out. If you want to lock this unit on, you can push this button and then slide this little black tab up, which holds the sprayer in. So that way you can get a continuous flow. And you can always do like a little mount on the back of the door here, so you can hang that sprayer up if you wanted to have like kind of an exterior shower. But really this is kind of really designed for a utility spray down. So washing off bikes, hosing down dogs, cleaning up the kids after they've made a mess. It's really nice to just have something to be able to wash things off And it's a great little unit and works really well. It's not retractable, so simply feed this guy back in to stow it. The last thing down here is our control valve. So this is our master kind of on off for the system. So as soon as the water comes out of the tank, it goes to this valve, which allows us to either completely shut the water off to the entire system or turn it on, and we can also drain from this valve as well. So when you go to winterize, this is the first thing you'll do to empty all the water out of that tank, and it just drains right out the bottom of the van. That pretty much rounds it out for the plumbing side. Let's jump over to the electrical and show you what we got going on. On the electrical cabinet, maybe you notice some of these underbed load lights here. We do have a switch for them up on the front of this cabinet, so it's accessible from up near the galley. But we also have a switch on the rear of the cabinet. So when you pop these back doors open, if you need to turn these lights off or on, you also have that switch here for convenience of using those lights. Here in our electrical cabinet is kind of the heart of the system. So down below we have a Victron lithium-ion 200 amp hour battery. We have also a Victron solar charge controller. This is where the solar panel connects into and allows and controls the charging directly down into the battery. We have our 12-volt fuses here. So these are all the appliances that don't require the inverter. So the water pump, the heating pads, all the lighting, the Webasto, the fridge, all of those are directly tied into the battery. Here we have our fuse and breaker for the solar charge controller. We have our battery disconnect switch. So this allows you to completely shut down the system. And here we have our large fuses for both our alternator charging and for our inverter. So these are both 250 amp fuses. Stock on a Sprinter is the 250 amp alternator. So that's tied right in through a charging relay into our lithium-ion battery. So one nice thing about that charging relay, it automatically controls whether or not this battery can be charged off of the solar, shore power, and the alternator. Also, though, we have the ability to have a manual switch on that relay. So if you do drain your cranking battery, say you left your lights on or you're cranking the battery because it's cold out and you kill that cranking battery, the Mercedes factory battery, we have a switch installed up on the dash. You just double click and it temporarily connects your Mercedes cranking battery to the lithium-ion battery back here and allows you to jumpstart yourself. So a nice little safety feature that's built in, and that comes standard on all of our classic designs. That pretty much rounds it out for the electrical. One last thing I'd like to note about the lithium-ion batteries. So being cold, we do design this this system to be resilient in the cold. So lithium-ion batteries don't like to get down to those freezing temperatures. So we have a heating pad that's installed on these, and the heating pad is temperature controlled. So we have a relay put in there that as the temperature gets down to around 40 degrees, we turn that heating pad on, which helps to keep this battery warm in those cold temperatures. If it does get too cold, we have the relays are controlled by a battery management system. These are all Victron components. The battery management system will automatically shut down the battery or disconnect it to protect it from any sort of internal damage. So it really is an intelligent and robust system that works really well and takes into account a lot of different potentialities of overheating or getting too cold or low voltage. And so in that situation, you would just need to get the battery warmed back up. So you could either start the engine and get the heat going in here, or get a little heater set up back here to get that battery warmed back up. Once it got back up to temperature, the whole system will come back online and you're off and running again. So the electrical system has a lot of fail-safes built into it. It's well designed to handle a lot of different situations and has the ability to handle, if it's overloaded or, or drained too far, it will always protect itself. So it's very hard to damage the system. It'll always do what it needs to make sure that it protects the battery, because this is the most expensive part in our builds. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, Hit that like and subscribe button. The support means a lot. We enjoy bringing you guys these free videos, and it really does help the channel. If you want more information about this rig or others, specific items, and even pricing, check us out at titanvans.com. If you're interested in some of the DIY products that were mentioned during this video, those can be found at titandiyykits.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.